You are officially an incinerator. Welcome to Incense and Common Sense, the live streams that we do here on the Alert Zone TV. This is an impromptu. Uh, I didn't set my reminder and all that. I didn't go on the community tab and do like usual because I just had a lot going on yesterday. Um, we're gonna have a conversation. If you see the title, this is a really good conversation to have. Um, and what I really do like about this particular law, it is very in Oklahoma, very direct. Now we're gonna talk about the pros and cons. So, as usual, when you come in, hit the like button. If you catch this on a replay, hit the like button. It just helps boost the algorithm and get us out there. You may not always agree with what you hear here, but you may know somebody else that agrees, disagrees, or needs to hear this. So we're gonna give everybody a couple minutes. Also, when you come into the live streams, I would love for everybody to kind of, when we're doing live, drop in where you're from. You don't have to give the city. If you want to give the state, that's fine. So you guys see, we got the incinerator, and I got my old style revolver mug today, and we got the 5 minutes. At the 5 minute mark, we'll usually get started. So definitely shout out to everybody. I hope everybody's having a good day. I know it's Saturday. I know a lot of y'all got a lot going on. It's holiday weekend. You can be doing anything, but we appreciate that you chose to rock with us here. Like I said, whether you catch this on the replay or if you catch us live. If you out there on them roads for the holiday, be safe. I want to say a very special thanks and rest on to the soldiers, in particular the black soldiers that came up with the Memorial Day holiday. For those of you who don't know the story of Memorial Day, it was the black soldiers who came up with this and decided to take a day out in the fields to remember those who gave their lives. So if you didn't know why you celebrate Memorial Day, you'll know now. This was just our way. As you know, we respect life as a group. We respect death. Sometimes you got to take a time out for the fallen soldiers, even in the streets. You know, we take a moment for those that we lost. So definitely be safe out there. And like I said, I hope everybody's having a good day. What have you, you know. So we got 4 wonderful people in here. I see 3 likes. That's what I'm talking about. Thanks to everybody for the videos that I posted of my youngest daughter. Of her shooting young, you know, it was kind of impromptu. She convinced me to actually put her on camera because I had made it clear I didn't want to put none of my family members, none of my children on camera out of their safety. You know, you have a lot of crazy people out here. But she convinced me to put her on, and I thought it was good, especially because she was a young girl, you know, for her to be caught on camera. And she said it wasn't her first time shooting, but I enjoyed the day out there with her. Tomorrow I'll probably have a couple more first-time shooters. I'm not pretty sure that they want to be videoed, so I may not video it. Like I said, with that being said, shout out to GunTube. If you do these GunTube videos, but not only shout out to GunTube, the content creators, shout out to the audience. The citizens of whatever channel you like. This may not be the channel for you, and I understand that. But shout out to y'all. Without y'all, there would be no us. Like everything, content creators, if we don't have audiences, we just creating content. So shout out to everybody that comes in. Like I said, if you catch this on the replay, or you catching this live, let's go ahead and get into it. We at the 5 minute mark. So do a comment. Oh, thanks for subbing. I appreciate you. Let's go ahead on and get into it. So I'm gonna go back a little bit, and then I'm gonna lead up to what I want to talk about as far as with stand your ground. The Trayvon Martin um, situation was the first time that I had ever actually heard like an actual stand your ground law. What's going on? What's going on? Welcome. Thanks for appreciate you coming in. Um, and you know, we always knew that you could protect yourself in self-defense, but the stand your ground laws really became popular as stand your ground laws. You know, there was laws on the books for that. Before that, you know, everybody know is that Miak, Amazing Crafts World. Shout out to you, appreciate you. Hello. And you guys all know how that case turned out with Trayvon Martin and Zimmerman. And it sparked the conversation not only about stand your ground, not only about the way it was being enforced, but getting direct language. Because a lot of stand your ground laws are very vague. I got a notification this week when I was out. As a matter of fact, shout out to the state of Oklahoma. I was in OKC a couple days ago. And it said about the amendments that they made to their stand your ground law. And I actually applaud them for the fact that they made it very specific on what they meant by stand your ground. It wasn't something that was vague. And why this makes a difference is, can you feel stories? Can I feel them? Sometime. But well, this particular law, they went back and did the amendments. And I'll give you an example. Like here in Iowa, I would have to catch up on it. Oh, can I tell stories? Yeah, maybe later. Let me go ahead on and get to the gist of the live stream first, and then I'll do some interactions with y'all, because I love interacting with y'all. But let me get the meat and potatoes out of the way, and then I give you guys the dessert and what have you. So in Iowa, having a attached garage and a detached garage gave you the under the law. Now, we only talking about under the law, everybody, not your feelings. As you guys know, I advocate for us doing things the right way, and I want you to know the law so you know how to use it to defend yourself. In Iowa, if your garage is not attached to your home, I know it used to be this way. I'm gonna double check. If somebody was caught in your garage, you would have to dial 911. Now, you could have your peace, but you couldn't go out and confront them, because what they said was it didn't constitute an immediate threat to you because your garage is not attached to your home. Now, if somebody was in your garage and your garage is attached to your home, that was a different thing. And this is why understanding the laws and knowing them is so important. As I said, the criminals have their advocates. I advocate for people that's legally armed and protect themselves, but I want you to understand the laws so you don't get caught off guard. Because sometimes your feelings can make you react to something that's unlawful. And at the end of the day, when you protect yourself legally, I want you to still not go to prison. I want you still to be able to continue protecting yourself. So with the Oklahoma, now in Texas, their stand your ground and castle doctrine, which is all being intertwined into one, expanded. Yeah, well, we'll talk about that later, about law enforcement. But I just mean for us, the citizen. So when it comes to stand your ground, the castle doctrines and stuff, I knew with Texas it was in your car and on your property. Well, Oklahoma has made it clear what they mean by this. So I'm gonna go ahead on and go through this article real quick. Y'all bear with me. Bear with me. Okay. Oklahoma's Stand Your Ground law, found in 21 OS 1289.D25, grants individuals the right to use force, including deadly force, in self-defense if they reasonably believe it's necessary to prevent death or great bodily harm to themselves or another, to prevent a forcible felony. This no duty retreat provision applies when the individual is not engaged in an unlawful activity and is attacked in any place where they have the right to be. So this goes public. Oh, okay, we got somebody that's LGBT. Well, shout out to you. We appreciate you for stopping by. Key aspects of Stand Your Ground law. No duty to retreat. The law eliminates the requirement to retreat before using force as long as the individual is not the initial aggressor and has the right to be in the location. Okay, so what they're saying is whether you're home or out in public, if you're not the shit starter, you don't have the duty to retreat because you haven't done anything wrong. Now, I know a lot of times people are trying to walk away or de-escalate the situation that's legally armed because they don't want to have to use force or deadly force. So this is what they're saying. Reasonable belief. The individual must reasonably believe that the use of force, including deadly force, is necessary to prevent death or great bodily harm. This is important. The law does not permit individuals to provoke a confrontation or use excessive force. Because you know there's people that get legally armed and then they go out looking to put people in a position where they can actually go ahead on and use force on them. So I like that. And you guys and girls have to remember, law enforcement is worried about us recording them on our phones. Remember with the Tyree Nichols case, even though law enforcement beat the state rap, it wasn't a cell phone camera that caught them, it was cameras on the pole. We live in the country now, there's cameras everywhere. Everywhere. So, all right. Applies broadly. The law applies in places where the individual has the right to be, not just at their residence. That makes it important. So that means now when you out there in public, for those of you who like to go out there starting shit, law-abiding citizens don't have to run from you now because they have the right to be there. So, expanded to property. Recent changes including House Bill 2818 have expanded the law's protection to include places of business, worship, and now on private property. Recognizes defensive display of firearm. The law also recognizes the defensive display of a firearm, including verbal warnings, exposing the weapon, or placing a hand on it if there's a reasonable belief of an imminent threat. So what that means now is, as you're telling them to get off of your property or what have you, because of a confrontation you didn't start, now you can actually draw a weapon, or you can put your hand on your weapon as you're telling them to leave. So that's important. Immunity from prosecution. The law provides immunity from criminal prosecution and civil lawsuits for lawful defense force, but this applies only when the use of force is legally justified. Now, that part is kind of vague, so you have to be careful with it. But what is good about this law is it specifies what it can and can't be used for and how it can and can't be used. Now, the problem we have is, how do the court system and the law system want to enforce this? You know, that's always a problem. But I just liked it because it was more upfront. Now, they did say, like I said, I read an article early in the week that now you can do this out to your property line. So for those of us who live in a town or city, out to the sidewalk, you know, the sidewalk is city property, but to the edge of the sidewalk, that's your property now. You can do whatever it is you need to do to get people off your property. Now, that doesn't mean because you have a dispute with somebody, you shoot them. Or that doesn't mean because somebody is lost, now you have a right to defend you. Shoot them and then say, well, I thought they was coming to break in or what have you. They did say it has to be reasonable. But I wanted to just talk about stand your ground. Because I'm a realist and I tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. These stand your ground laws were meant out of good faith. A lot of them were really meant to protect law-abiding citizens. However, the way they've been used and implemented, we can't ignore that and we can't bother that. I mean, forget that. You guys know the case of C4 Bennett down in Florida, a stand your ground state where you don't have a duty to retreat. He's on video retreating. Guys come and chase him and they took him to jail. You also know the story of the guy down at Arby's where the guy threatened him, came in there, came behind the counter. He punched this man in the face because the man came back there to attack him. The guy fell and hit his head, and a couple of days later he passed on. And they charged the employee with manslaughter, even though he was on his job and what have you. And so that's where these stand your ground laws, you have to be careful about them. I understand, well, people like me, those stand your ground laws have an asterisk next to it. Even though we don't have the duty to retreat, if you go and look at the majority of us that use stand your ground, we usually retreat before we defend ourselves because we understand, unfortunately, the laws apply different. I've pointed out case after case of this. The laws apply different to us. So we are always thinking in the back of our mind, what can we do to avoid having to even use this? I mean, it's simple, even to the point of people forcefully breaking in your home. Yes, under the law in a perfect world, we would be able to defend ourselves and go home, but unfortunately, that's not the way that it's prosecuted, and that's not the way that a lot of those laws are policed. C4 Bennett should never have went to prison, to jail. He's on video running. He's on video hiding, literally in the vape shop. The guys that were chasing him threatened his life. He didn't have a duty to retreat in the state of Florida. He retreated and it still cost him his freedom. You guys know Roger Forson, the airman that opened the door with his pistol, was immediately gunned down. I'm not making this a racial thing. I'm just pointing out the law is very specific, but you have to be careful because all these laws that get passed have think tanks where people get together and sit down and go over the law and make sure they interpret it properly. That's why we do that here from time to time. We talk about stand your ground and understanding the law, because you have to figure out lawfully. Oh, what's going on? What's going on? I can't call it. How to use this to benefit yourself if you need to use it. With that, Anonymous, what's going on, Anonymous? How you doing? And the other writing must have been in Arabic or something like that. I can't see that. I can't repeat that name. All right, we got Dexter. What's going on? Salute to you. Yeah, man, I appreciate you always rolling with me and always giving me encouragement, you know. Sometimes these conversations are uncomfortable, but they need to be had because you need to understand, because on paper, this is a good law. And I like that it specifies stand your ground does not apply when you're the aggressor. I like that it specifies that. Most law-abiding citizens, just like what have you, don't go around. It's always a small handful. And most communities in America, it's recidivism that you see on the news. 80+% of black folks don't commit crimes. It's the small rate of us that commit crimes that is recidivism. The same small number of groups, guys and girls in the group commit the crimes. And it's like that in all racial and ethnic groups here in America. All white folks ain't criminals. You got a handful of them, 10, 15% of them, that do all the damage because it be recidivism. The same people committing the crimes. It's like that with every other group, even though it's amplified with us, but nevertheless, I like to have these tutorials about these laws, whether you agree with them or not. If you don't agree with something in the law, this is why you do stuff like that. Because the Oklahoma Stand Your Ground law was very vague. And they went ahead on to revamp the language so it can be very specific. And I would love a law that's more specific than very vague, because you never know. You don't ever want to leave it into the judgment of somebody's hand that want to decide whether or whether not. You would love to have a law that says this is what it is, period, point blank. So you got something to go by. It's a good template, you know what I mean? It's like having the blueprints. I would rather the blueprints say this than to give somebody else, an engineer, the ability to change things as they see fit for whatever, because that's not always a good thing. It talked about provoking. There's a lot of people that go get legally armed and they start looking for people to provoke. Like down there in Florida, where you had the guy who would meddle with people in the handicap parking, and finally he got somebody to bite and he shot the guy and killed him and tried to use the stand your ground, and because it was all on video, they said he was the aggressor and that he was known for doing that. He had been trespassed off the property multiple times, which means he shouldn't have been there. So it's very specific about as long as you're able to be lawfully somewhere. So I definitely like that. Also, I was going to do a video about this, and I may still do a video about this. Okay, we got 9 people in the building. We got 8 wonderful likes. I appreciate y'all. That means this message is hitting home. With these stand your ground laws and stuff like that, delivery drivers, y'all have to be careful. Amazon, Uber, DoorDash, pizza delivery, and whatever else. Because I had seen something. I've seen a lot of stories of people that got lost delivering food up there in up there in New York. Forget the name of it. It's about 50 miles north of Manhattan. You just had a highway, the supervisor of the highway commission up there. A DoorDash driver went to several houses because he was lost. You know, sometimes the GPS sends you the wrong way. Yes, it does. It's man-made. It makes mistakes. He was told to get off this man's property after he rung the doorbell looking for directions. He left. The man had a gun in his hand and a gun strapped on his back like he was in fucking Call of Duty or Commando or something. This guy got in his car and pulled off, and he decided to start shooting at the car after the man turned around to go about his business, and he wound up shooting him in the back. And his Ring camera caught everything. Yeah, and it happens. The Amazon drivers, like I said, you see stories all over the country of these things, of delivery drivers being chased out of a particular area and being shot at. We always had, like during the pizza delivery days, stories of the drivers being robbed. Now you got people in broad daylight, and this would be at night, and now you got people in broad daylight that's pulling over the FedEx and the UPS and the Amazon drivers saying we don't want you back here. Um, some of them are being chased out of these areas with their uniforms on and being shot at, like down there in Macomb, Mississippi. Um, a FedEx driver was chased out of I guess, a private community that he was actually doing deliveries in. They chased him all the way to the interstate trying to kill him. Um, that's first degree murder when you chase somebody under the law. You guys and girls may not know in Illinois, the state of Illinois, uh, yep, yep. I'm gonna address that in just a minute. Uh, in Illinois, for those of you who don't know, Illinois has sundown towns. I know they love talking about the South, but Illinois has sundown towns. And there are even FedEx drivers that have posted videos that they have sometime a 2 hour break in between their deliveries because there's certain neighborhoods they can't go to. The people don't want them there. They're not allowed and what have you. So it's crazy. These stand your ground laws. So getting lost, and it happens sometimes. We're all human. Knocking on maybe the wrong door for a delivery. It's happened at my home before. That could actually cost you your life, and it has been costing delivery drivers their lives. I don't think that you should overreact that bad that somebody's lost that's looking for directions, you're willing to shoot them. If they have their uniform on, they're in a company vehicle, or they're delivering Amazon or what have you, if you're that worried, well, then don't order online. But yeah, I just needed to address the Oklahoma stand your ground law, um, and say how I likes that it's very direct. It doesn't have all this vague language, and it makes it clear this is not for you to go out there and look for trouble and start something. So that is what I love. Now, will it be implemented and will it be prosecuted like that? Well, that remains to be seen. But the language, if you got a decent lawyer, or you yourself, if you ever find yourself in a self-defense situation, if you know how to read, you can help your lawyer help you get out of this if you understand the language, because it's very direct language. Like I said, it's not vague. So I do like that about that, that it gives you the right, it expanded to your property, because a lot of people don't understand these car thefts and these car break-ins. When people have full coverage insurance and what have you, all of us pay the price for these crimes, whether you believe that or not. Anytime the insurance company has to pay out anything, they consider that a loss. And the way they recoup their money is they jack your premium up. And if you live in the area, and this doesn't have anything to do with urban areas, really bad neighborhoods, this goes on all over the country. If you live in an area where home burglaries or car thefts are regular, you will be paying extra insurance because of that. For those of you who don't know, the Dodge Challenger and Charger have become like some of the most sought after. The SRTs and the Hellcats and the Demons and all that stuff have become very sought after. These guys and girls, if they don't get your car on the first try and you leave it out in the driveway and not the garage, they'll come back again and they're going to bring reinforcements. And if they got to do it in broad daylight, they will. When you call to report your full coverage vehicle stolen, if they get it back, your premium is going to go up because they have to spend money with the law enforcement. But we all pay the price for that, because what they'll say is insurance got to be high in this neighborhood because this is where car thefts happen. A lot of y'all think that car thefts happen in the hood. Car thefts don't happen in the hood like they do in rural and suburban America, because for various reasons, of course. So I just thought that I would talk about that, for Oklahoma and for across the country. These stand your ground laws, make sure you understand them. But also make sure there is a possibility you may have to wind up in court defending your freedom. I know all of us would rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6, but I just thought I would point that out. So as clear as that language is, it's just the process of the way it's going to be implemented. You know, as I pointed out in Florida, whether you like it or not, George Zimmerman was allowed to run somebody down, a kid, and kill him, and then say, "I stood my ground." He was allowed to run his ground. C4 Bennett ran from his attackers, and yet he went to jail. So that's the different implementation. You know what? I don't know a lot about carry insurance. I'm still looking into that. The main thing is, even with insurance, you still got to know the laws, and you still got to have an idea of what's going on. You know what I mean? So you don't be totally in the blind. So, but that's something I'm looking into. The only problem with insurance is when you get insurance, they love trying to goddamn rob you. Some of these premiums and some of these rates that they want to give you is through the damn roof. You know what I'm saying? So. Y'all excuse me 1 minute. Oh, okay, I thought that was the rest of the live stream. You can come on by. All right. So yeah, that's oh, okay. You can come by if you want. Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that, everybody, but yeah, like I was saying, you know, just this channel, when we do these kinds of videos, is a starting point for you. It's not the end all and be all, but it gives you an idea. As I always say, you don't have to be a lawyer, but you need to understand basic reading comprehension and basic reading. So if you ever find yourself in a jam, you can help yourself. As I always tell the criminals, a criminal that can't read is a fool. Because if you go to jail and you can't read the goddamn police report, well, you deserve to go to prison. As I told you, these guys and the girls, it's easier to tell a lie than it is to write one on paper. And a lot of times, even people that are guilty of crimes can pull the police report up and show how the report makes no sense and wind up getting their crimes thrown out. So, unless it's something really heinous that's on video. So that's just what we do to hear the starting points of just understanding the stand your ground laws and what they mean. The difference between a vague law and a very direct law. And like I said, what I really like about the Oklahoma law on paper is they was very specific about you not being the aggressor. They was very specific about that because, you know, some people get a firearm and the first thing they go do is look for the first person they can find to start a beef with so they can have a reason to shoot them. So I think that is very dope that they made that clear. Now, will they prosecute him and police him like that? We'll see. But at least that's on the books if you're the victim of somebody that's legally armed that came and start trouble and you can prove they were the aggressor, not you. That gives you an opportunity. Yeah, you know what? Speaking of Cali, so I heard that they want to make it where you, as an outside, with non-resident, can get a California permit, but as of right now, the last I saw, you got to be a member of one of 4 like gun groups or something out there to qualify. I think that's bullshit. I think they should open it to everybody. I personally don't like the fact that California recognizes my driver's license and can suspend my driver's license, but they won't recognize my concealed carry permit. I think that's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? It's a step in the right direction. I think it's going to take a long time to get California on the books to change some of these laws. Because I'm going to tell you, shout out to Eyes and Ears Tactical. I know he had pointed something out years back that the state of California is red. It's just a few blue areas. The LA, the Oakland area, the San Diego area. So the more populated areas are blue. It has blue pockets, but it's a red state. So I'm pretty sure in parts of the state they don't enforce some of these gun laws that they would enforce in the urban cities. And everybody already know why. All you need to do is look at Illinois, and that tells you everything you need to know. As I told you, when you get to outside of Chicago, you see pro-gun signs all over the state of Illinois. But yeah, I guess it's a step in the right direction. My guess is the reason California don't budge on gun laws as much for law-abiding citizens is it's their leverage that they use to get everything else passed that they want. I'm not gonna get into that here, but you guys know what I'm talking about. All the other laws they want to get passed, that's their leverage. So if they give up and just fall in line with, okay, well, we have a restriction on what you can carry, but we'll recognize your permit. In their mind, they've lost their leverage because they understand once they give an inch, we're going to want a foot. And that is why when the ATF got Trump to ban bump stocks after in his first term, after the Las Vegas massacre where Stephen Paddock killed 59 to 60 people, he banned bump stocks, and the very next thing after that, they went after the braces, the folding braces and what have you. So that's why I think the number one reason California don't really want to bend on their gun laws on paper. But I'm pretty sure, because I've heard about some of the weapons that they have in Northern California, and you never hear nobody going to jail for them up there. So at least I never hear about it here, If that's going on there, you guys and girls that's out there in California would have more knowledge on that. So anyhow, where everybody checking in from? I see we got California in the house, Tony. LA. I'm gonna say this. Oh, okay, we got Hawaii in the building. Oh, wow. Wow, sorry to hear that about Hawaii. Like I said, I don't think most of the anti-gun crowd are really anti-gun. It's more as that's their leverage. All right, we got Southern California, the San Diego area. Like I said, I've never really got to get out in San Diego and see anything. I've ridden through there on Interstate 5. It's very beautiful down there. I've never got to really see that. Now, the LA area, when I say LA, I don't just mean like, Los Angeles, all in that area. For a tourist, there's a lot to do. Okay, we got Northern California now. The farthest north I've been was Bakersfield. I have yet to see the Golden Gate Bridge. There's a couple places that I would used to want to visit. I don't think I would now because I don't think I would see now what I would have went there looking for. I always wanted to go down Fillmore Street, but I've been told that Fillmore Street ain't what it was, the Fillmore District. And that was because of American Pip, I'll be honest. I've always wanted to go to the 65th and 69th Village in Oakland, but I'm pretty sure there's not that either. Yeah, you're right about that. You're right about that, Jeff. I've never been to Hawaii. Y'all hold on one second. Sorry about that. I'm streaming. Okay, no, it's all right. Here, Stephanie. I'm streaming. Sorry about that, everybody. The Constitution protects you. Right there. You're right about that. But as I was saying, I've never been to Hawaii. I would love to go maybe one day. We'd be able to make it down there. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. The Constitution protects them rights, not give them to you. You know, so definitely, um, just whatever. You know, like I said, we just advocate for the law-abiding citizens here on this channel, and I try and keep you guys not only legally armed, but try and keep you legally safe. You know, through all the red tape and the paperwork. The more you know, the more you understand, the more you know how to move. That's what these think tanks get together when these laws get passed. A lot of them sit down with people that's in the law and what have you to understand the way these laws are written, to make sure, you know, if they need to use that law, they understand the precedent for it. And that's just what I say here. You know, I just want you to understand that. All right, we got Glock twins in here. I can't call it. Good evening, good evening. Yeah, yeah. You know what? I didn't post that I was going to do this on the community tab. You know, you guys and girls, I always tell y'all on the community tab, I like to give y'all ahead of time notice. I didn't get a chance last night because I wasn't sure what time I was going to be available. I wanted to do Midnight Madness last night, but I fell asleep, so I didn't make it. And I was relaxing during Midday Mania. So I just decided, well, you know what? I wanted to go ahead on and talk about this Oklahoma Stand Your Ground law. And stand your ground in particular, and just chop it up with the citizens out there, because, you know, we all member of the Alert Zone, and we like all one big citizenry. I was down in New Orleans yesterday, dropped off a load. Okay. You was in the NO town. Yeah, man. Like I said, if you just understand the laws, you understand how they benefit you, how to use them if you have to. Like I said, we don't advocate that you be the aggressor here. We never advocate that for that. So, you guys don't pay no attention to my security system. We just got it. It talks, it tells you everything. You guys and girls know that. But yeah. So, you know, like I said, who else we got in the house here? Where else we got people representing from? I'm pretty sure, because somebody asked me, could I tell some stories? There's some things I seen growing up. All right, we got well-dressed. Yeah, man. We got well-dressed tactical in the house. Checking in from Florida by way of Jamaica, man. That's my little Jamaican accent. But shout out to you, brother. Well-dressed. I'm still going to get you up on here. Believe me, I haven't forgotten. It's just such a beautiful thing. You guys and girls know, I did a video, if you're new to this channel, we got over 800 pieces of wonderful, fruitful, nutritious stuff here. I talked about immigrants and naturalized citizens and first and second and third generation practicing their constitutional rights. And I've made it clear, if you immigrated to this country, fine. If you went through the proper channels and you able to be legally armed, I don't care what you do in your home country. Protect yourself here. You have a right here, a constitutional and a lawful right to bear arms, like my brother well-dressed tactical do. Practice it. At the end of the day, you never want to be a victim. Once you become a victim, you lose a sense that you don't get back. You know, especially if you're a type of person that's never been in the street. If you've never been a criminal, you won't understand. If you was in the street life, you understand part of the street life is if you rip anybody off, you know, when it comes back to you, you gotta take it. When you're not into that type of lifestyle, when you lose that security, you don't get it back. It takes a long time. And even when you get it back, it makes you sleep with one eye open. So That's just what we like to talk about here, and advocate for everybody. So definitely, like I said, I got a friend of mine up here that's African, straight from Liberia. I just haven't had the time. I finally, after a lot of years, over 10 years, got him to budge. He would, I would tell him, let me take you to the range, and he would tell me he didn't need a gun. And, he would tell me about Jesus. If Jesus was alive, would he carry a gun? And, I made sure to tell him in the Bible, it says, sell your cloak and buy a sword. So, yeah, don't hide behind the Bible. You're not going to do that with me, I'm not going to tell you I'm a biblical scholar, but like a lot of Southern blacks when I was young, I was raised in the church. So you're not going to hide behind me. The Bible tells you a lot of different things for people that's religious. And it tells you to don't always pray for your enemy and what have you. You ask for the people to be judged. So sell your cloak to buy a sword means you protect yourself. At the end of the day out here, you work hard for everything you have. There's nothing wrong with you making sure you protect yourself. It's just that simple. And that's what we talk about here. Definitely. So we've been on here for 45 minutes. This was an impromptu. If you catch us on the replay, make sure you give the video a like, the live stream a like. We appreciate everybody for coming through. I know it's Saturday. You guys and girls want to get out to finish enjoying yourself. If you are out there on the road going to enjoy the Memorial Day holiday, as I said again, be careful out there. There are a lot of people on the road. They're predicting a lot of travel. And if you're going to be at home relaxing or whatever you're going to be doing, definitely try and do it safe. Be safe. I'm going to go ahead on and continue the rest of my day. I appreciate you guys and girls for rocking with us in the Alert Zone TV. We starting to get more people to sub to the channel. More people starting to watch. Definitely going to be pumping out a lot more content. The channel is just going to keep going up and getting better. So I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. And until next time, everybody, you stay safe. Yep, appreciate you. Until next time, everybody out there, stay safe, stay armed, and stay on high alert. We out here.